you need to understand who you are as an organization and who are the people that would share that passion with you.
Right.
Find them.
Yes.
And then steward them. And in that way, kind of date them. It's matchmaking.
That's it.
And that you're going to get no's. Someone's going to have something else they want to pursue that's not personal, and it's the long game of relationship. I have a great quote on one of my boards recently that I wrote down, which is, they're not your donors, you're their charity. And that it's just reminding, from a nonprofit lens, that it's not the pursuit of finding the donor. Instead, it is finding the donor to engage them in the work you're doing that they want to see change in their community.
Good morning and welcome to a bonus episode of the Same Business, Different Day podcast. There's a special event coming up on October 5th, so mark your calendars and get your 70s apparel ready. It's going to be a blast. So we'll tell you more about that date coming up soon, but first, let's do what we always do, what we're really good at with the Same Business, Different Day podcast, and tell the full story of our special guest, our esteemed guest today, Christine Vaughan. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Zeke.
I'm glad that you're here.
Oh,
I'm glad that you're here. And I'm a little bit nervous because I know you're a communications expert, so I hope I do a good job with this.
It's definitely different being on this side of the camera, but so excited to be here and really honored, truly.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to talking about this event too.
Yes.
But we got to get there. Okay.
Gotta
So
get
we got to
there.
start from the beginning.
From the beginning.
From the beginning,
back.
before you could remember, where were you born?
I'm from Orange County originally. Grew up, looking at the fireworks of Disneyland, and then my family moved to North County, Oceanside, and I have lived in North County for over 3 decades.
Wow.
And so attended Rancho Buena Vista High School.
Okay.
Go Longhorns.
That's where my kids both graduated from RBV.
And went to Cal State San Marcos, earned my degree in communication, and then actually started working in nonprofits. So
What about first jobs though?
First jobs, oh goodness, go way back when.
Yeah.
Well, first jobs, I worked as a receptionist for H&R Block.
Okay.
Right off here off of East Vista Way, very much a local girl. And first year that Legoland opened, I was the ride associate. So I would be the person on the mic telling you to put your hands, and arms inside the ride and sit back as you conquer the dragon. So
you've never been scared of the microphone. Did you want to be a singer or a DJ when you grew up? Anything on the microphone at all?
No, interestingly enough, I actually thought I would be an ambassador. I thought traveling the world and kind of more government relations was an area I was going to go, but
that's not a bad area, though.
No. I think the part that scared me was the need to fluently speak a second language. And I have 6 years of Spanish under my belt. You wouldn't know it. I could hardly order off of a menu.
You gotta get immersed. You gotta get immersed.
I can really get into the music, but just have, oh my goodness, my brain just has a big halt.
Drop you by yourself in Mexico. I bet those words start coming back.
Yes. But in high school, I did, speech and debate. I was a Lincoln Douglas, debater, and was actually a finalist in the state competition. And so speaking in front of people and articulating your thoughts was just something that has been kind of built into me since my high school days.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love that. So a student government as well?
Yeah. Doing those.
It makes so much sense.
And then I did drama and did some improv at the very end of my high school days. And that was fun.
Who planned all this out? That sounds like a master plan. It's like to be this great of a communicator as you are now, but the trajectory was already just lined up for you.
I think that's just the beauty of stories, right? You can look back and all of a sudden you see these threads that you didn't know you were weaving at the time.
Right.
That was the stepping stone and that was the next moment and that opportunity opened this opportunity. It really is the beauty of perspective afterwards. Because even when, and I will get there, but even where I think about where I'm moving in my own career, if you had asked me 20 years ago, I would not have thought the title I'm about to have is one that I would have.
Really?
Now, to do the work I'm doing,
Hmm.
to be leading, to be inspiring others, to care about people, absolutely. All of those pieces
Sure.
have been a piece of my heart
Yeah.
forever.
And it just all come
Yeah.
together. It
Yeah.
just all makes sense.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Look at somebody's life. It just makes sense. That's what I'm looking for in my life, Jacob. I'm going to find my thread.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, education, you said Cal State San Marcos.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
I loved it. I mean, when I went to Cal State San Marcos, it was still a pretty small campus. There were 5,000 students at the
Okay.
time when I was going. I remember there'd be stairs that go to nowhere, built on the hillside. And,
People
it's,
still dread that hill.
yeah, it's leg day every day at Cal State San Marcos, as they say. But it really became a place that inspired me. At the time when I was a student, I was part of, service organizations attached to the university, and eventually became the editor for what was then the Pride magazine, or Pride newspaper. It's now the Cougar Chronicle, but the student newspaper. So writing as a news editor.
Wow.
And so that's really where I started to build my writing skills and
Okay.
interviewing others and putting yourself out there
Yeah.
as a college student.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and building that portfolio
What
of
were you
real tangible
studying?
work. I was studying communication.
Okay.
So, really communication when it's minus the S is looking more at communication theory. So when people use language like us versus them, understanding societal dynamics and how it relates to communication. So there's a lot of woven pieces between sociology and how we use communication. So it's kind of a blend of those two things, as opposed to perhaps the more traditional mindset that people think of communications that's much more media driven.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's where I was, radio, television, and film. And but I love sociology,
Yeah.
though, as
Yeah.
well. So, what goes into choosing a major like that? Obviously, again, the thread was there for you, but just, because this show is about perspective, right?
Yeah.
And so there are kids that are at Cal State San Marcos right now trying to make a decision on what what their major is going to be, what their future holds for them. And those aren't always the easiest decisions.
They're not.
Yeah. So, what was the process like for you in making the choice?
Yeah, for me, I knew that, for my life, I wanted to be at the local, university. And so being able to be at Cal State San Marcos, commute from home, and really have the rest of my life that I was building work in tandem with my education was important. And so then looking at the opportunities that were available at Cal State San Marcos, I wanted something that I knew could grow with me, right? Something that I was passionate about, I'd want to learn more about, would make my education really fun for
Yeah.
me and just
Yeah.
my own brain.
Hmm.
And it's going to be people, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be talking through things, understanding different perspectives, and kind of coming to that common ground. And I found that in
You did.
communication.
You
Yeah.
did. Absolutely. Okay. So, did you work through school?
I did. I still at the time was working for H&R Block. There were 2 years where I was still doing in the summer working at Legoland. And at the time, while in college, I was actually volunteering as a Girl Scout leader, as a college student, supporting older girls in Girl Scouting. And so still having a kind of volunteer side of my life as
Yes.
well as going to school.
Okay. So now the choice to volunteer, is that I just want to help out? Is that this looks good on my resume? Because volunteering is a big part of what I do, as you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And all of us, I know that you still work with Girl Scouts to this day.
Yeah.
And so, some people do it to leverage in certain ways, and some people are just trying to, try to be altruistic in that,
Yeah.
their process. But early on, college days, you're choosing to volunteer like you don't have enough to do,
Yeah.
right? So, what goes into thinking to making that decision?
It's funny. I don't know if I've ever stopped to think about that.
Okay.
I was a Girl Scout. I mean, I have two older sisters. I'm in third of four children in line. And when I was 2, seeing my older sisters in Girl Scouts, I could not wait to join Girl Scouts. Could not wait. I mean, some of the first things I was singing were Girl Scout songs.
Okay.
And when it was finally time for me to be a Girl Scout, I was 5. At the time, my mom was the Girl Scout leader, and the co-leader was running late to our first meeting, Zeke. Oh, she was running late. And my mom tells me this story that I went up to her and like kind of tugged on her shirt and like, we can start the meeting. I know everything there is to know. I can be your co-leader. So at 5, already showing those, I will step into leadership. I like that. I thrive on that energy.
Wonderful.
And it has just carried through in my life. And so I stayed in Girl Scouts all the way until I was a senior in high school. I earned my Gold Award, which is, the Girl Scout equivalent to an Eagle Scout Award.
Okay.
And just continue through. And so then when I was into college, I'm going to continue doing this with Girl
Okay.
Scouts. And I volunteered in other organizations too that were youth serving. And it's continued to be a passion of mine. I think I'm able to bring ideas. I can host events. I can mentor people. And even
Yes.
right now, my favorite part of volunteering is helping another volunteer find meaning in the work and create community and connection and a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
That, yeah, we're going to do it. And having fun with it. I think that it's been present in my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, I probably don't leverage it on my resume, maybe as I should, or connections. I just really feel that it's a piece of who I am.
I see that you're very good at that actually, in helping a volunteer find meaning in what they're doing, because it's like, you don't want to go put in all this extra effort outside of whatever your regular daily activity is, and then get there and not even be heard. You know what I mean? And I think that you're really good at hearing the folks that are volunteering and working with you.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's time is the most valuable, right? I know that that's what we all have a short supply of. And
Right.
I think sometimes, too, it's really easy in a volunteer capacity to feel a little lost about how you can make the greatest impact.
Yeah.
And so you need someone that can come alongside, help it stay fun, but then also direct it.
Yeah.
That, like, let's do this way, and that'd be a great contribution. And
Right.
let's pursue that, or let's do that program, or, any of those pieces that go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so what was the job after college?
So the job after college, at the time in the summer, I was still working for H&R Block doing outreach and marketing and looking for my first, real professional, full-time, big girl job, right? And at the time, it feels so long ago, I had to actually fax in my application. So it feels that long ago.
Yeah, I remember fax machines.
Faxing
Very well.
in my resume. And what's really fun about that story is I was applying for a position, events and public relations and special event coordinator with Interfaith Community Services.
Okay.
So nonprofit that's headquartered in Escondido but serves families throughout North County that are dealing with homelessness or just anything that's kind of preventing the family from reaching its full potential.
I know Interfaith.
And yeah, great organization. And I faxed that in, and as Greg Angel, who was at the time, who's now the executive director of the organization, but at the time he was the director of development, and this position was going to be reporting to him. He was on his way back to his office to make an offer he wasn't really excited, but he's like, okay, we need to bring someone into this role. When the fax machine made a noise, and it was my resume coming through, and he was like, we got to meet this person. A few days later, I interviewed, was offered the job, started, and worked for Interfaith for about 5 years, building communications, public relations, doing their special events. I was doing fundraisers that were bringing in over $250,000 for the organization, helping us navigate not just one, but 2 crashes in the economy, to really help, when those were happening in our community, families, especially, families at a greater potential disadvantage were having a harder time, and we needed our community to show up for them. And so I was able to help Mobilize, work with city government at the time, learn a lot underneath and with Greg and the team there, and it was a really rewarding career start. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I see you still know how to convey that message.
Yeah. I love our partners at Interfaith, yeah.
That's
and Greg is doing a phenomenal job leading that organization.
Beautiful. So I read that you got into back to your alma mater. You got to work
I
in.
did, yeah. I came back to the university in 2010 and was there for 12 years. And my last position at the university was I was the director of university communications. And so,
No.
yeah, I mean, I started out in the department first doing, my first title was communications specialist, and then became like a public information officer, and then building our internship program that dealt with video creation and photography. I've authored over 700 stories,
Wow.
in my career, especially at Cal State Smart Coast, producing a magazine that earned international awards in university, kind of in the world of universities, and so.
That's how you build a resume.
Really, really good work, and proud of the team that we had with the work we were able to do. And if you're familiar with Graduates on Parade during the pandemic, when commencement ceremonies couldn't be hosted, the university, we were one of the first universities in the nation to host a Graduates on Parade, where graduates would actually be in their cars and allow for families to be together but social distancing.
Right.
That was my idea,
Really?
bringing that to President Neufeld, and really was actually inspired by a comment a colleague had shared with me years ago that said, if you liked it in kindergarten, you're going to like it again in college. Like there's just kind of this return of like some of the fun and innocence. And the idea was I had actually, at the time, had a kindergartner who had done a little birthday parade, and we had like decorated the car and like honked the birthday girl. And I was like, I wonder if we could do something like this for commencement.
Yeah.
And it made the front page of the New York Times. So it was pretty cool, pretty cool.
That's wonderful.
The Film Hub is the future of co-working in downtown Vista. Get energized in an inspiring work environment that is built for your success. With multiple membership options for workspace and private offices, you can become a part of our co-working community. The Film Hub makes it easier to produce the professional content your business needs. From video production, live streams, photo shoots, or in-person events, you can create all this and more in our audio and video facilities. Love your work and where you accomplish it. The Film Hub. This podcast is brought to you by YourInsurancePlace.com. Owning a business is hard work. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into it every single day. You need a partner who understands the ins and outs of insuring small to medium-sized businesses. For over 40 years, our California Property and Casualty Insurance Agency has insured businesses just like yours. We've seen it all, and we've learned a thing or two about what it takes to keep your business protected. That's why we offer free policy assessments. We'll take a look at your policy and let you know if there are any gaps in your coverage. Let us help you to protect what you've worked so hard to build. YourInsurancePlace.com.
Now, you also, outside of Interfaith, you've worked with other nonprofits, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me more about your nonprofit work.
Oh, my nonprofit work, specifically like volunteering,
Yeah.
kind of with that. A common thread for me has been really Girl Scouting. Right now I'm a Girl Scout leader. There are 35 girls. I have two large troops. There are 35 girls between them who call me Miss Christine. We're actually going on a field trip to go visit Daleen at Delightful Chocolat this coming Friday. I mean, how amazing is that?
Yes.
But I think one of the really great things that Girl Scouts has provided for me in my career is it has introduced me to other organizations.
Okay.
Working with the Women's Resource Center, working with Operation Hope and Solutions for Change, here in Vista, even being part of the Vista Parade and, the Chamber of Commerce. And I love a clean San Diego and doing, beach and creek cleanups and just being aware.
Right.
And, in my it feels crazy to say 2-decade career, even in public higher ed, it's still a nonprofit space. And so I have been connected to foundations in the community, donors, the grassroots organizations that are trying to bring people together to solve, pressing issues
Right.
of our communities.
Right.
And those people are so fascinating. They're so fun. They're committed. And I admire and share their heart to think about something that's both bigger than them, but sustains outside of them, right?
What I really like about nonprofits too is the amount of creativity that they have. Right? They have to be creative. That you have to
Absolutely.
find other ways to
Scrappy.
raise money. You got to come up with new
Yes.
ideas that
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, well I would like to be involved in that.
Yeah.
Because it can't just be the same thing over and over
No,
again.
no, no.
you know.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I remember when I was my first job, right, at Interfaith Community Services, when I started, we didn't have money to afford the Adobe suite. So to be able to edit photos, create invitations, I was using Paint, pixel by pixel, to like make a black background for something. You know, and you learn the systems that you have. You wear multiple hats. You learn critical thinking skills. And I think even, I mean, I've sat on so many more of mentorship panels for young alums or soon to be graduates. And like, what is your advice for us as we're about to graduate? And I would say always start working at a nonprofit.
Yes.
One,
Yes.
they're going to take a chance on you. You know, they've got smaller budgets. They're willing to
They need
invest. They need you. And they're willing to invest in your learning. And two, you're going to have to be scrappy. And I think learning those scrappy, hard and soft skills is probably the best experience I had in my own career.
I love that.
Because I was able to build a portfolio faster. Yes, I could do graphic design, but I also need to do photography. I also need to know how to talk to the news station when they're coming and asking what's happening with the winter shelter. And I need to be able to talk to a donor who's making a $20,000, $50,000 gift. You had to have the full range of skills, and you're surrounded by a community that is excited to do it with you. There's not internal competition. You know, even nonprofit to nonprofit, you know, sometimes there's a sisterly relationship, sisterly competition. But at the end, we know everyone's passionate about their mission and just working to kind of like find their people, their matchmakers.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I like you saying that on a professional level, because I have for years in doing this show, my thought was for what everybody should do is to wait tables.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I believe in that.
Yes.
And we talk
I've
about
heard that with the food
sociology,
service.
right?
I've heard the food service comment, yeah.
People are hungry, they're moody, somebody's on a date, somebody's got crying kids.
Yeah.
You solve these little problems and you kind of understand or predict these problems before they
Yeah.
happen. People leave happy, they tip you well. You know how well you've done by them by how the tips that you received. And
Yeah.
so I
Very
love
direct.
that. But on a professional level, though, I really like that idea. Work with a nonprofit organization because there's so much more they're relying on when it comes to you, and they can count on you. And you can grow a lot faster and better in a professional world, and it's on your resume. Like
It's on
you're
your resume.
here like
Yes.
as a nice person.
I felt that those years, you know, as a new grad, if you're going to invest 5 years somewhere, your 5 years can be so much more rich in a nonprofit environment that you can leverage into your next opportunity.
That's right.
You know, I tell even my staff today, you know, it's perhaps the most controversial thing I say to them is, I hope to not afford you one day.
Right.
I hope that you have the skills that you outgrow a nonprofit.
That's
and if
it.
I can keep you, if I can fundraise to keep you, all the better for us.
Yeah, sure.
But that's the goal, you
Yeah.
know, that you're able to build your skills and contribute in a way that has incredible meaning and that you see the output of that work.
I love
right?
it. I love it. And I would say, just for any employer, I know a lot of us have a hard time losing people, but
Sorry.
you want them to leave better than when they came.
Absolutely.
You know, you want them to go off and just say,
Right.
that was a great experience. Now let me go kick some ass.
And for us, if I'm in the work of building whole people and creating great futures, that includes our staff.
Yeah, what would it look like if you were stifling
and I'm
them?
like, no, not you, just them. No,
You
it
stay here.
has to be, all pieces of us.
Give us a little tip on fundraising. You're clearly part of an expert at that. How like there are a lot of people out there who say, you know, I wish if we only had this money, if we could get this money donated, we could do so many bigger things.
I know.
What's
yes.
your approach? What's the trick to being a
trick.
successful fundraiser?
Yes, I know that sometimes if you're new to fundraising, it's very intimidating. People can feel like, oh, I don't want to ask somebody for money.
Right.
And I've often thought of it, and I think I just alluded to it a moment ago. Is I think of fundraising as matchmaking.
Okay,
Not everyone's going to be your donor.
sure.
You're not going to attract every Mackenzie Scott of the world. And that's not who you should be going after. You need to understand who you are as an organization and who are the people that would share that passion with you.
Right.
Find them.
Yes.
And then steward them. And that way, kind of date them. It's matchmaking.
That's it.
And that you're going to get no's. Someone's going to have something else they want to pursue that's not personal, and it's the long game of relationship. I have a great quote on one of my boards recently that I wrote down, which is, they're not your donors, you're their charity. And that it's just reminding, from a nonprofit lens, that it's not the pursuit of finding the donor. Instead, it is finding the donor to engage them
Right.
in the work you're doing that they want to see change in their community.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm looking for people who understand how impactful those years in your youth can be in changing someone's future. And that time, so someone who's been motivated by a mentor, had that one person in their life, knows that turning moment where I felt safe and a sense of belonging and, all of those pieces for me, those are my people. And my
Right.
job is to find those people.
Right. Yeah.
Not assume that everyone is my person. You will burn yourself out finding them.
Yeah.
And then it becomes transactional. It's just like you're collecting a Rolodex of names. That's not what we're trying to do. That's not good fundraising. Yeah.
I love it.
Matchmaking.
Matchmaking.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Matchmaker, make me a match. I know.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're currently now talking about the Boys and Girls Club, right? So San Marcos Boys and Girls Club, currently your title is?
Currently, I'm the Vice President for Development and Marketing.
Vice President for Development and Marketing. How long have you been doing it?
Almost 2 years. I think we're coming next week. Actually, oh my goodness, it'll be the Friday before auction. It'll be
Awesome.
my 2 years for the organization.
Wonderful. Well, what
Yeah.
good timing we have
I
because
know.
the big announcement, and congratulations to you, is
Thank
now
you.
you will become the CEO and president.
Yes, I will.
Wow.
Yes, it is exciting. It feels a little surreal.
Yes.
It's that piece that, if someone had asked me 20 years ago, do you see yourself with the title of president and CEO? I would have been like, that doesn't seem like me. But if
Yeah.
you had told me one day you're going to lead a nonprofit, of course.
Sure.
And it's going to be about people, of course.
Right.
And you're going to mobilize and inspire and equip and lean and learn and do it alongside amazing people.
Right.
I would have said,
Yes.
of course, that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
So here we go. Yeah,
did
I
it. You
officially
did it.
will take over on November 4th.
Congratulations and
yeah,
well deserved. Well
yes.
deserved. Just for the year that I've known you, that I know that you are the leader that they need. But here's what I got a question about.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your predecessor.
Oh my goodness. Kathy is phenomenal. So Kathy actually hired me first at Cal State San Marcos over 14 years ago. So she
Okay.
has been my mentor now for 14 years. She will say that I was her first hire at Cal State San Marcos.
Okay.
And the energy she would bring to communications to allow her team to just dream, and even at a university where you have a lot more resources, be able to be scrappy and find ways to make, things work so that
Sure.
you could move the needle and not be held back by bureaucracy and red tape that, government, can often, be a little more limited, can increase those timelines. But she cleared the way for her staff to do some of the best communication work I've ever seen, and loved working with her. And as I will say, she retired from me once. She retired from the university, and at the time, there was a relationship. Of course, San Marcos and its size. The board at Boys and Girls Club had approached her and said, "We know you're retiring and you're looking to do something less at the moment, but is there any chance we could convince you to come out of retirement and come help lead the Boys and Girls Club in a pandemic?" Because Kathy was retiring in 2020. And she took the leap and said, "Okay, I'll come over here and, work with the organization, give it a few years, bring it up out of the pandemic, get the organization healthy and ready for its next leader." And about 2 years ago, she and I were at lunch, and I was just dreaming and talking about what my next, opportunity would be. And I had a list of things that I was looking for, and amongst the top three was that it had to be meaningful work. You know, I didn't
Sure.
want to just go make money for someone else. It needed to still speak to my heart. You know, at Interfaith Community Services, it was helping people help themselves. At Cal State San Marcos, it was first generation college students and social mobility and the trajectory of young people. And then sure enough, at Boys and Girls Club, it's building great futures and helping inspire, you know, tomorrow's leaders today by investing in them. And so it worked perfectly. She said, come work with me, have fun, be at the club, and make a meaningful impact. And that's what I've
Yes.
been doing with her for the last 2 years. She will retire right before, of course, that's the transition. And I consider myself so fortunate
Sure.
that she has been one of the mentors of my life.
That's wonderful.
You know, professionally, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just a
So-
great spirit. I
yes.
really like.
Oh my
she's
goodness,
awesome.
she is so competitive. I love that about her. She is a winner through
Yes.
and through. It's not uncommon. First thing in the morning when the club opens, we have a program where family members who might start work early can drop off their, you know, their youth, and we walk them to the neighboring school. So there's a morning program, and she'll be in the games room, like, you know, doing shuffleboard or, you know, pool or bumper pool and billiards. And she does not play easy. She is like, if you are going to win, you are going to earn it. And
Right.
she is loud and fun, and
That's
the
awesome.
kids just love it, you
Yeah.
know, to have a heart. So it is perhaps the greatest honor to be following that incredible legacy. And I know for her that it means a lot that I'll be able to carry that torch
Yeah.
and her legacy. And it is, the club is in an incredible trajectory right now for
Right.
what the organization, where it's at right now, its size, its growth, its health, its energy, the
Yeah.
youth of San Marcos, that it'll be really great. She's not going far. She'll be around.
She'll be around.
She'll be
Well,
around.
yeah, I mean, mentors don't stop mentoring.
No, they do not. Yes.
So, the future, you have ideas? Any things that are we not going to let those cats out of the bag yet?
Yeah, maybe a little bit time. I actually have the role, you know, be in it for a little bit. But, you know, as a club right now, you know, after school, you know, in San Marcos, when school gets out, 2,000 youth walk into a Boys and Girls Club space in the city of San Marcos alone.
2,000.
2,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when you add in summer camps and day camp programs, you know, you're getting, you know, almost up to 3,000 youth in San Marcos. And in our camps, they don't have to be a San Marcos resident. You know, we have kids that, you know, live in neighboring communities that are coming because maybe their parents work in San Marcos. They have a friend who's in San Marcos to do that together. And, you know, 2 years ago, we opened a second clubhouse, which is in the, you know, the bottom level of an affordable housing community, and really kind of set a new look for what clubs could be integrated within affordable housing communities.
Wonderful.
And, you know, I think there's definitely more growth that we're in line for in the next few years. And, you know, as I was sharing, you know, recently, I know that right now, future leaders of San Marcos are walking into a Boys and Girls Club right now.
I'd love
Like
to hear
that's
it. I'd love to hear it.
that's the outlook. That's today.
Yeah.
So in 10 years' time, someone running for city council, 20 years' time, future mayor,
Yeah.
they're right now walking into a Boys and Girls
love it.
Club.
How
Yeah.
about one of your favorite stories, experiences with the kids at the Boys and Girls Club? I mean, yeah, I understand. It could be a happy one. It could be a sad. I just like to hear those stories. And my kids have experience with Boys and Girls Club as well.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've heard some great stories come out of the organization.
Yeah. I mean, one of the stories we'll be sharing the night of the annual auction, I'll share a little bit, not too much, just in case, because I know people are going to be coming. We're going to be introducing our guests to a wonderful young gentleman. His name is Dean, and he right now is a sophomore at Mission Hills High School, and he has been coming to the Boys and Girls Club for the last 9 years of his life, and he has incredible work ethic. You walk with him in spaces, like people are shaking his hand, they're giving him fist pumps, like, and not in a way that he holds with a sense of pride. It's just who he is. he's just an incredibly inspiring young man. I had the privilege of going up to Sacramento with him and another teen in April for a Days of Advocacy to meet with some of our lawmakers to talk about issues
Wow.
of funding that helps fund Boys and Girls Clubs and be part of that, and got to introduce him to Senator Jones and other lawmakers that he could share what was important to him. And
Did he get to speak?
yeah, he got to speak to them directly.
To
We
them,
had meetings.
right, yeah.
We had meetings. Yeah, and like
see
shake
a
their
mentor
hands,
here.
and shake their hands, and
That's awesome.
and get to know our lawmakers. That these are the people who are making decisions. And
Yeah.
these are the young people who are part of your district, your areas. That and they have things that they're passionate about, that they want to talk to you about, and building that confidence to not make it seem like these are people you can't talk to. Instead, and I remember even Senator Jones saying, I grew up in a Boys and Girls Club, and like having our youth hear that, and that he sits on the board, for Boys and Girls Club of East County, and just that helped our youth go, oh, like you're just somebody else, you're just a person to talk to, and how meaningful that experience was to them. But fast forward to today, Dean was able to go on a service trip to South Africa.
Wow.
Where they went on a safari. They then worked with a Boys and Girls Club in South Africa.
Wow.
Painting their clubhouse, doing homework help. He was invited recently to a showcase with Best Buy. So our Teen Tech Center is sponsored by Best Buy. It's the Best Buy Teen Tech Center, powered by Sony. And the teens were able to go to this conference, and only 6 teams nationally were invited to participate. And our team was invited, and they had made the world's largest, which you might think it's like the size of a room, but it's just, it's like 2 times, 3 times bigger than your average keyboard, but a functional keyboard that they 3D printed and that lights up as you type. And it was part of their showcase work. They like made 3D bow ties. It was, a really cute, not cute, but fun and engaging and innovative project that they did. And it caught the eye of the CEO of Best Buy. And she personally, it was a silent auction for it, bid and won their item.
Wow.
And so, Dean will be there that night talking about his story and just what he's been able to do and what's to come. Because he's a sophomore, and his presence in our club, he is creating an amazing culture that,
Beautiful.
The Teen Tech Center, they have every device, every makerspace thing to just make. And he teaches others how to use that equipment. Right now he's trying to 3D print like an actual chair you can sit on.
Wow.
I mean, he's an inspiring and equally humble guy. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that night, this glorious night that we keep talking about.
Glorious night. Well, this year the Boys and Girls Club turns 45. So 45 years ago, we started in a trailer in the back of Woodland Park Middle School. And today we have 2 clubhouses. We're on 10 different school sites and affordable housing. We're much larger. And so we're celebrating those 45 years of impact and where we are today. So we're kicking it back to 1979 and going with a good, true disco theme. So sequins, glitter, mirror ball, velvet, it's metallic. It's all going to be part of this night. And so we're transforming our club into Studio 45, reversing the 54 into 45 for our anniversary. And just gonna have a real fun and funky night. So I know our guests are coming out in some fun costumes and sequins and just everything glittery. But it's a night, and our most important night to raise funds to raise funds for our club, because while we're able to have grant funding and keep things really affordable for families, there are still families that need scholarship support.
Right.
And the work we're able to do at the Boys and Girls Club of San Marcos depends on the support of our community. What we're able to invest in our youth, the experiences they're able to have, are a direct relationship to how our city and our community can embrace us. And so it's work we do together. And it'll be a night to do that. We'll have youth performances part of it. Dean will be there. There's a video to share more about his story. I didn't even go into all of it for him. And it will be magical. My favorite part of it is probably we're going to be, at the end of the night, there is a 4-foot in diameter disco ball that we're hoisting to the top of the ceiling, and we're just going to dance the night away. It's a party.
That's a party. I love it.
It's a party. It's a party to be to, to be at.
Tickets still available?
Tickets are still available, still for now.
Okay.
I mean,
or tables.
We're getting close. We're getting close.
Yeah. How do they get a hold of the tickets? Where?
Oh, super easy. boysgirlsclubsm.org. You can just go right there. It's right on our homepage, and you can purchase your tickets. You can give
And
us
then
a call.
if you don't attend, you can still be a part of the silent auction?
You can still be a part of the silent. Our silent auction will go live on Sunday, the 29th. And so you do not need to be present to be part of our silent auction. So go on there, bid up our guests, compete in that space, because every single dollar, everything that is able to bring in more money for our clubs mean that there's more that our youth get to do, more opportunity, more experiences, more leadership, and it helps us keep the most amazing staff at our club for our kids.
I love it. I love it. You delivered that message, but who's surprised? I'll be working the wine wall,
I was going to say, you're going to be at the wine
I'll be
wall.
there. Yeah,
Yes.
come find me. You know where to find me.
Oh my goodness, the value of those wines, they're top shelf this year.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't forget to stop and see me at the wine wall. It will definitely be worth it for you.
Yes.
Without a doubt. Well, Christine, I really appreciate you being here with me. Seriously, this was awesome. It's good to get to know you a little bit more.
Thanks.
And I appreciate all of your hard work. Like I said, the volunteering part is so important too. On top of us having jobs and all, you're still out there helping in the community as well. So congratulations on the upgrade.
Thank you.
So well deserved. So well deserved. And I look forward to the future for the San Marcos Boys and Girls Club, your mentees, and just everything that you got going on. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah, as they say, great futures start here, right?
That's right. That's right. So thank you guys for tuning in to the Same Business Different Day podcast at SAMEBIZPOD, Same Biz Pod, or at A Different Day Radio to check out all of the other great shows we have going on. Thanks, Jacob behind the wall. And we appreciate you guys tuning in to this special bonus episode. We've got a lot coming up next season, but we'll be checking you out soon. Or come see us at the auction at the Boys and Girls Club. Thank you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.